Dentistry and General Radio Network presents
DIG's official podcast with Dr. Bob D.
This episode is brought to you by Digapalooza, the premier CE event every November in Chicago. This exclusive event features world-renowned speakers delivering quality bread-and-butter topics that is more than CE. It's a connection to a supportive dental community. For early bird pricing and more details, visit dentistryingeneral.com. In this episode,
using third-party software that can connect to your database will help patients realize that oral health is important. And I always say this, it's okay to do good and do well at the same time. Your patients, you're improving their lives, and at the same time, you need to have a healthy business to be able to help patients.
Absolutely. I remember a doctor vividly. I was on a phone call with him. We were talking about tracking case acceptance, and I was showing him dental intelligence because it can combined with our marketing. And he said, I don't present treatment. I just let the patients tell me what they need. I was very sad for his patients, to be quite frank, because we don't know what we need. We're not doctors. I don't want to go to my dentist and be like, hey, I'm thinking this is what's happening. Go ahead and do that. That's a bad place. So I'm with you. I love that you said that. You can be successful and you can also, they go hand in hand.
The Data-Driven Dentist, why your numbers hold the key to long-term growth. Dr. Bob D. interviews Ashley Best from the Dental Intel.
Hello, everyone. I'm here today with Ashley Best. Ashley is the Director of Partnerships at Dental Intel, one of the companies that I actually talk about bringing into the group to help the mission I'm trying to carry, and that is helping private practices compete with larger practices and corporations. And this is capitalism. There's enough room for everybody. But my concern are single private practices, or maybe 2 or 3 different offices that are privately owned. Ashley, please take a couple of minutes, introduce yourself, and tell me a little bit about you and the company, and then we can jump into a demo because I want people to see how powerful Dental Intel is.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Bob. I appreciate that. Yep. Ashley Best, one of the director of partnerships here, work with our strategic alliances and their associated and affiliated practices, which is really nice. Just our partnership with Bob and Dentistry in General allows me to have those conversations with the doctors in the group too, which I love. So that's fun. Dental intelligence, we like to pride ourselves in being the only what we call end-to-end practice performance solution specific to dentistry. So obviously with our name, we're specific to only dentists. We work with no other industries, which I do think sets us apart. There's certain things that you need to understand about the practice and a dental patient that are unique from other industries. And I do think that gives us a leg up. We did start out as analytics only back in the day. No one really associated with us with much else. And we were getting asked time and time again, hey, you're giving us great data, stuff we absolutely have to know to run our practices and compete with these larger organizations that you just mentioned. But now how can we act on it? So we did acquire 2 additional companies in the past 5 years to be able to act on that data that we're providing. So when I say end-to-end performance solution, that's why we're able to give you the data you need up front and then give you the tools to act on that data, which so many practices need.
Yeah, let's talk about those 3 core companies that there are. So Dental Intel is basically analytics, their main job. And the other 2, I think one is LocalMed that you guys acquired and it does what? Online appointments and things like that?
Correct. Yeah, we acquired LocalMed in 2019, direct booking, online scheduling. Research has shown that you need that. It's 2025 getting that in place. But then in 2020, a company called Modento, which I'm sure a lot of folks work with and may still call it that. And that's quite okay. That was rebranded to Dental Intelligence Engagement. We have meshed all of those together. Pretty soon, we're going to be launching one dashboard. So it's our Better Together project. Right now, it's a single sign-on, but practices do need the analytics and engagement. Again, we're trying to make it more rewarding to work in a dental practice and make it much easier to be a dental patient. So we're merging those 2 dashboards together. So pretty soon it'll all be in one place. Think of us as the full stop solution. You've got your analytics and you've got the tools to go act on that data, because data itself is great. It's great to know your numbers, right? But I always say the old saying, knowledge is power. I threw that out the window. The implementation of knowledge is
right.
So just because your numbers, that's step 1, we got to start somewhere, but what are you going to do with that data to be successful is what I always say. And so having those tools, I think really helps.
Well, sometimes I actually even joke around knowledge in a dental practice could be depressing. You need to know how to fix the problems you find out by knowing your numbers. What does Modento do?
Modento, dental intelligence patient engagement, is going to allow you to interact with those patients daily to streamline things that a lot of offices are doing manually. So something as simple as being able to electronically fill out your forms so that when you have a dental appointment, Bob, they're not saying, Bob, be sure to show up 15 minutes early. We're all busy. And so this 15, 20 minutes early, even simple things, getting a text reminder on your phone, Bob, that you have a dental appointment, because again, busy, you forget. It could be on your calendar. It's making life simple for the practice, so they're not manually doing these tasks. They can focus on who's in front of them. I'm a big fan of, if you're doing a million other tasks, that is a poor patient experience. If I'm trying to check out and I have to be somewhere and have a meeting and you're on the phone with insurance, or you're just busy, you're not present, we don't have a good relationship.
You got analytics, you got patient engagement, talking to them. And then when you're talking to them, they can just make the appointments right there. I want people to understand the workflow. You have your software here and there, but remember what you're doing. This is 2025. This is 1970s and 1980s that you can hang a shingle and you say patients coming in. You're competing with other dentists and other dental offices. You're competing for the money that people want. They may want to buy a Tesla and not get that implant. So those are the things that using third-party software that can connect to your database will help patient realize that oral health is important. And I always say this, it's okay to do good and do well at the same time.
I love that. I'm so glad you said that. Back in my dental marketing days, I remember a doctor vividly. I was on a phone call with him. We were talking about tracking case acceptance and things like that. And I was showing him dental intelligence, like I mentioned earlier, because it can combine with our marketing. And he said, I don't present treatment. I just let the patients tell me what they need. I was very sad for a moment. I was very sad for his patients, to be quite frank, because he don't know what we need. My mom's been a dental for 45 years, Bob. My sister runs a very successful dental practice here in Louisville, Kentucky as the office manager. We don't know what we need. We're not doctors. I don't want to go to my dentist and be like, hey, I'm thinking this is what's happening. Go ahead and do that. That's a bad place. So I'm with you. I love that you said that. You can be successful and you can also, they go hand in hand.
The mindset is important. There's a discussion in my group right now that we were talking about. Dr. Yazdan, one of the coaches, is talking about the mindset of being a CEO and a doctor. There are some people opposing it. It's very intriguing for me because we need to get the mindset of doctors in a way that this is 2025 and you are competing with a lot of things. I want to jump into this demo. So I want you to show me how powerful Dental Intel is.
I'd love to do that. Thank you for letting me do that. I think the first thing I want to share with you, and this can set the stage for what we're going to talk about, is the fact that when I mentioned earlier that it's an end-to-end solution, this is a visualization. It shows that it all works and this ecosystem is so important. Practice analytics here is just a small piece of that puzzle. Knowing your numbers, now acting on them, knowing where you want to go is great. You have goals set. You have to know where you're starting from. Frequently in the last 10 years of meeting with practices, they have big dreams and big goals and they're able to articulate that to me. But when we start getting into the, how are you doing now? What is status quo? And these few areas, I learned really quickly that a lot of the practices I meet with just don't know those numbers. I equate it to you telling me, Bob, that you want to go to Vegas this weekend. You're online, you put in Las Vegas as your destination, but that little box that says origin, you have no clue where you're leaving from. You're never getting to Vegas. You don't get to book that flight because you have no clue where you're starting. That's what I tell people. If you're trying to be a $2 million practice eventually, and you can't articulate to me where you're at now and what levers we're going to pull to get there, it just won't happen. It's so important to know your numbers. You tell me this all the time when we talk. You are trying to find a way for them to be able to compete with these large organizations. They know their numbers. That's how they're so successful. They track this stuff with a fine-tooth comb. So being able to know that and then put it into place and make your life easier, make your staff's life easier, make the patient's life easier is what I'm a big proponent of. We can do a demo here. We rolled out a feature this past year called scorecards. And that's, for so long, we had doctors saying, we love what you're giving us to focus on, but what if we wanted to create a custom dashboard that says, hey, it's Q1 of 2025, my consultant or me, I think these 5 things are important and I want my team to just be solely focused on that. So we built that scorecard feature. This has been around since the inception of dental intelligence. It's called our performance board. It's 9 KPIs that we firmly believe all practice should be tracking. They should know this at some level. Can you work smarter, not harder? Can you do fewer appointments, but the same or more production because you're attracting bigger cases, perhaps, depending on the type of practice you run? How many of your practice patients are leaving without their next appointment? I ask offices this all the time. This is a real practice. This isn't a dummy account. And they have 215 patients who had their butt in a seat in the last 6 months, and they walked out without an appointment. That goes back to what I said earlier. You're not front and center. You're on the phone with insurance, or you're faxing, and Ashley has to leave because Ashley has to pick her kid up, and Ashley says, I got to go. And this happens. You get one a day. Pretty soon, this 215 isn't unspeakable. So keeping track of that is so important. We break out restorative and elective work. We can get very granular on your individual contributors. We can zoom way out and say, here's how you're doing as an entire practice, which is great info. New patients, I could spend hours on new patients and attrition because that's my past life in marketing. But what I do like is that we show the back door and who's leaving, because I have too many offices that don't know this number. I would frequently get blamed in dental marketing. You're bringing a bunch of new patients, but we're just not growing. This is where I'd go to dental intelligence and I'd say, we've got a problem. We're keeping track of who you're marking inactive, and that doesn't seem to be the problem. You're marking 5-6 patients a month in Dentrix inactive. That red box there, those are people that have not been in 18 months. What are you doing to get them back? Oh, we're too busy. We can't get in front of them. This chart tells the whole story. Who's coming in? Who's net new? Great. We all need new patients. People pass away, move away. Got to have new patients. Big believer in that. Let's just look at January for this practice. They had 32 new patients, probably feeling pretty good. They went out and recaptured 3. That means 3 went inactive. They hadn't been in 18 months. We follow the ADA on that. Last 18 months, if they've had an appointment, they're active. Pretty simple. But then here's the story. 25 jumped into that 18 months without a visit bucket. So the office never said those 25 people were inactive. They didn't mark them as inactive. They jumped in that bucket because DI said, create a bucket and show an office what they're losing. They did mark 69 inactive. Now, I'm going to give them a break in January because a lot of benefits, plans change, people switch jobs, get new benefits. They may have gone out of network. I don't know what happened here. So I will give them a benefit of the doubt on January. That's an anomaly. But their net growth was negative 59. Net growth in December, negative 44. November, negative 21. So we're never adding to our active patient base. So I have a lot of offices that just don't know this number. Big sales organizations track this stuff. A big organization of any kind, they're going to tell you our retention rate is this. That means they know their attrition. We're helping the team stay on top of their numbers, knowing their numbers, and then giving them the ability to go act on it and make it better. Improve it if it's abysmal, continue where you're at if it's great, or improve it. And you have the ability to do that simply by knowing and then implementing this knowledge. Cancellations and no-shows, another one. I have too many offices that just don't know those numbers. I love seeing no-shows. We're looking at January here. No-shows in January. They had 517 booked appointments. 40 no-showed. 20 remain unscheduled. And real fast, no-show to us, 24 hours to no notice. Cancellation, 24 or more. That's just how we delineate. So half of them who no-showed haven't rescheduled. 22 of the 35 cancellations haven't rescheduled. But I like to take that data and go a little bit further. So what I always do with practices is click on the no-shows.
This episode is brought to you by DIGRN, the premier CE event every November in Chicago. This exclusive event features world-renowned speakers delivering quality bread-and-butter topics that is more than CE. It's a connection to a supportive dental community. For early bird pricing and more details, visit dentistryingeneral.com.
And I actually want to see, out of your 40 no-shows in January for this office, how many were new patients? 2. Love it. I had an office the other day that 60% of their no-shows were new patients. So what did we talk about for 10 minutes? Something in your marketing message is not resonating because they're booking and then no-showing on you. Why isn't a new patient committed to their appointment with you? Let's talk through that. Now that you mention it, we've been running this campaign for 60 days. We're getting a lot of excitement, but no one's committed to their appointment. What can we do? Now they're taking that data back to their marketing agency and they're having a data-driven conversation instead of, Bob, I feel like this marketing's horrible. It's not. The messaging might be wrong, but with this data, I have seen practices take a $10,000 marketing spend and cut it in half because they're using data to drive their marketing now and not just spraying and praying that it works, right? That it doesn't stick, it doesn't land. So this is great data to run your practice, but it can do so much more if you just take it a little bit further. Case acceptance. We track case acceptance all the way down to the code. Can't tell you how many times I'd have a dentist come to me, Ashley, tired of drilling and filling, please start running implant campaigns for me. We're going to increase your marketing spend because we know it's going to be a little bit of a higher cost per patient acquisition. But before we do that, we're going to get into dental intelligence and we're going to go to the provider pulse and we're going to look at last year. I'm going to look at an entire year because I want to be fair here. We have ups and downs and peaks and valleys. And we're going to look at your case acceptance on implants before we go spend all this money to market implants. Because if I pull it up and it's 12%, Dr. Bob, we're not spending $10,000 to get you implant patients, because what are you going to tell me? You're going to call me and you're going to say it didn't work. That is how you're proactive in being the CEO of your business while still doing great dentistry. But knowing this stuff is so powerful. So that tool here, this analytics side, is meant to keep you on top of things like patients sneaking out without their next visit. Bob comes in and I tell him he needs $10,000 in treatment, and he leaves because he needs to think about it or speak to a spouse or someone. And before he decides, no one follows up with you. Are you going to call back and say, I'm ready to give you 10 grand? Probably not. So we're really big on saying, tighten up the holes in the floorboard. Let's understand our business. And we can indeed work a lot smarter and not harder.
Can you tell me a little bit about this page, this case acceptance? Where do you see that percentage, and kind of explain it a little bit for me?
Absolutely. So this is called our provider pulse. That performance board I just showed you is going to give you a overview of the entire practice, hygiene, restorative, all the contributors. The provider pulse, just like it sounds, is zooming in on your individual contributors. This can really drive employee reviews. It can allow you to benchmark and see comparatively, if you have a team of, let's just say this office has 4 hygienists, you can see their production per day, per hour, per visit, their perio percentages. But case acceptance, that allows the hygienists or the doctors to really see 2 things. More than 2, but the 2 we focus on: dollar acceptance. Out of all the dollars you've presented, how many were accepted? And that to me is a really true number of how much is being accepted. And then the patient acceptance side to me is great to know, but the dollars to me are more important, because the patient side, that's just saying if you present treatment to 10 patients and 8 say yes to something, we're going to have you at an 80 on the patient side. But if you present $100,000 and only 50,000 is accepted, you're at 50% on the dollar. So there are 2 separate stats that I don't find frequently doctors track it that granularly. Generally, they say, oh, my case acceptance is 90%. What does that mean? Is it on the dollar or on the patient? They generally don't know. So I do like to look at patient acceptance and dollar acceptance separately. What I was mentioning a second ago that's nice is you'll see here, this doctor overall, 9.4 times out of 10, the patients are saying yes to something. Great. Doctor's up 11% from December. We're looking at January. But the neat part, and what I mentioned about the implants, is coming up here and saying, hey, I want to add a filter. That's how I'm doing overall. I presented 108 cases, 101 are accepted. I'm doing pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good about that 94. My goal was only 85. I'm doing great. You can come in and say, hey, now I want to go market XYZ, and the sky's the limit. You create a filter and you get all the way down to the code level. And then you're able to say, ooh, I'm going to pump the brakes on that because I'm not at 94 on everything, right? I'm at 94 in totality. Where am I granularly speaking? So that filter allows you to do that. I always thought that was so cool, just to be able to know it's powerful for that reason. And if you say, hey, do I need to go get more training? Is it clinical training? Maybe is it, I haven't done enough of these cases and my soft skills aren't there. When I talk about anything over $10,000, my percentage drops through the floorboard. I know a lot of the doctors I talk to are like, whoa, I didn't even know I could get this granular. That's pretty neat to know. So that's an area that I do love to focus on with doctors, is their provider pulse. Morning huddle is another big area that I think all offices should be doing. I meet with offices that tell me they got rid of their huddle because it was a waste of time. Let's look at yesterday. We were just reading the schedule to each other, Ashley, so we stopped doing it. So I'll show them our huddle and just say, would you be willing to bring it back if you had a way to do it this simply? But we do it for them. We're really saying, hey, here's who's coming into your practice today and how you can maximize your time with these 20, 30 patients. Out of everyone coming in today, there's a whole handful of unscheduled family members. There's unscheduled treatment. We show them how much unscheduled treatment. We show them who owes money for the day, who's not scheduled for hygiene. We want to get that taken care of before they leave. If they can do this every single day and be proactive, pretty soon that chart I showed you up on the first page of unscheduled patients, it starts shrinking. Unscheduled treatment, this big number starts shrinking. Your AR gets cleaned up. What better way to collect money than when you're right in front of me? Ashley, how would you like to take care of your $387 balance today? You're not chasing me anymore. We want you to maximize your time with those people. So our huddle's quick. It's easy, 10, 15 minutes in and out. There's a motivational minute if your team enjoys stuff like that. But I do think a huddle should be productive. And then save a few minutes for those I had a doctor yesterday. He said, we don't talk about any of this. What we talk about is Ashley takes twice as long to get numb. Sarah's hyper, And I said, don't stop doing that, please. That's amazing. And only you and your team know those things. Dental intelligence doesn't know these things. You can add a note, but we don't know these things. But combine that conversation that you're having now with this data, I have no doubt you're going to hit the numbers that we just talked about. It's fun to hear how people are running huddles and how can we tweak it just a tiny bit to keep them on track for their goals.
Yeah, these are the things that many private practice owners take for granted. I'm a good example of it myself. I've been in the same area for 30 years. I don't feel like I need it, but I practice right next door to the largest DSO in the world. I need to be able to do my numbers as good as they are. So this is great. What else do you have to show us?
So I won't spend too much more time on the analytics side. I will just say this, it's pulling every metric essentially over EMS. We're not pulling any imaging in or x-rays into this dashboard, but you dream it, we can get the data. You could build a scorecard to really hone in on specific metrics. We have a patient finder list that essentially takes your whole patient base and you can start adding filters. Show me every crown I've presented in the last year who hasn't said yes in the last 6 months. So this software, if you can dream it, it can do it. I'll kind of transition over into the patient engagement side. I just showed you the who's overdue, the what is owed to me, how much outstanding treatment do I have. It's a lot of helpful data. But again, knowledge isn't power. You have to do something with that data.
Right.
And if you're not going to do anything with it and you're just going to invest in a software just to know where you're at, you're probably going to come tell me it didn't do anything. And that's
right.
what you want to happen. So let's take the data. Let's do something with it. So if you know that you have $100,000 in 90 days plus an AR, which is not unheard of, what's an easy way to get these people to pay? What are you trying now? I'm sending paper statements. I'm sending them in the mail. It's 2025. If your patients can't pay online, they can't pay through a text or an email, you're costing yourself. If your patients can't schedule easily with you, if you have an appointment request form on your website, it's not going to cut it. It's 2025. Give your patients the ability to schedule. These systems are smart. I have too many people that say, no one schedules like Teresa. I'll just show them how specific it is. And I will show them in our services here, when you create a service, how granular you are on the back end. You are telling me the appointment is this long. I need this much auxiliary time. It's only available to new patients. It has to be an adult. It's only available in OP 2 and 3. It's only available for these two providers. Double book it or don't double book it. The back end is where the magic happens. The patients don't see this. The patients just see what's available. We're busy. I have two young kids. They're busy with extracurricular activities. My husband and I work full time. Let me tell you when I have time to schedule my kids' appointments. It's 8:00 at night when they're in bed and I remember, I got to get her into the dermatologist. They're not there. Or let me tell you one more thing. It's during my lunch when I call and the entire office has gone to lunch. The minute we make it easier to be a dental patient and you quit saying show up 15 minutes early, Ashley, and end your work meeting early because I still want to use paper forms, we're not meeting the patient where they're at. When we can make it easy to schedule, you're reminding them electronically through a text because we all check our texts, making their life easier. Let them fill out their forms on their phone or on your website. When I say our mission is to make it more rewarding to be a dental professional and easier to be a dental patient, all of these tools we're talking about bring that to life. Your team is wearing 2-3 different hats. If you can take this off their plate, I have offices that frequently tell me this automation saves them 2, 3, 4 hours a day. We're not trying to take the place of these folks in the practice. That's not the goal. But I think these tools can come alongside someone in the office and really take so much off their plate and allow them to focus on, should I pick up the phone? Ashley, I just pulled a list of 20 patients who Dr. Bob presented full mouth rehab to in the last 90 days. Pick up the phone and call them. I'm not saying send a text to Sandra, who you presented a full mouth, not at all. Spend your time doing those things and let the automation send out a consent form for the extraction at 3:00 today. You don't waste your time on that. Let the system send out your automated recalls, your birthday texts. You dream it, we'll send it. And you focus on the things that are, I'm going to say it, money-making activities for the practice. You're running a business.
I wanted to ask you, you guys are all cloud-based and you integrate with which software at the moment?
Great question. So this is all cloud. They can log on from any anywhere. We have apps for their cell phone. If they want to do the app, they can log in at home, work remotely. But right now, direct integration, read and write capability with Dentrix, EagleSoft, Open Dental, and then those sub brands. So you've got Dentrix Enterprise, Fuse, Practice Web. Dentrix Enterprise Dentrix Ascend is this close. We're in beta right now. And the engagement piece, which you're looking at now, will be on the scene very soon. And I've talked to so many Ascend offices are stoked about this because they said they haven't had many options. There's just not a ton that integrates with Dentrix Ascend yet. So that's coming. We're super excited about that. And then to your point, we are focusing on cloud-based solutions that are appealing to even private single few location doctors. I get asked frequently, should we move to the cloud? Could we? What does that look like? And yeah, it's not a blanket yes or no, but that will be a focus because we've got the big 75% of the market's covered by Dentrix, EagleSoft, Open Dental in terms of the server-based platforms. I think the key here too is the integration. The read write is so important. There's a lot of tools out there that will read the practice management software very well. They can't write back. That's a problem. Right. Then you're duplicating work. If you go to any of those 3 softwares I just mentioned and look at their preferred vendors page, we're listed there, which is great. We take that seriously. HIPAA compliancy is big. If you don't do it the right way, you're not technically HIPAA compliant, which we want to avoid at all costs. I know doctors care about that deeply. Those are the ones for now. And that list is going to grow for sure. That it will be out of necessity. That pie chart, I'm starting to see it fragment more.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are still more dentists on-prem software, fortunately or unfortunately. It's the fact of life that dentists don't like to change so quickly. Do you have anything else to show me?
I never want to make an assumption that something is important to a practice, but I can tell you the things that are important to the patient. And so just at a high level, and you can probably see it down the side, but the ability to text back and forth with your practice, important. I want to send a quick message, but I can't call you. I'm running 5 minutes late, but I'm on a work call. So a text is great. Ability to do that here and write those conversations back to the practice management software. We've already talked about being able to schedule their own appointment. And then every step in between, from making the appointment to getting paid faster from insurance or patients, I say every step in between. Your booking of your appointments, all of your confirmations and reminders, which are critical, your forms, your consents, going paperless, the treatment plan route, being able to present treatment plans through dental intelligence, so important. And then the payments and insurance piece so that you can make sure you're collecting on what you produce. And that's just as simple as being able to check eligibility with those patients, Bob, and then also send off the claims. So this tool allows you to do both. Then we have our payments tool that allows you to get paid faster because you're quickly sending out a text with a short, simple statement. I'm not naive to think that there aren't a few patients at all practices that still need that paper statement. I'm never going to tell an office you don't, but is it everybody? Probably not. You can bulk text patients. We had a practice, my colleague, not my practice, but my colleague's practice 2 weeks ago, lost her front desk. And she came and said, I have to have a way to get paid faster. I don't even have anyone to send out statements. And he guided her through getting the payments module activated. She reported back to him. She collected $77,000 in the first 90 days.
Wow.
So that was a fun one to see. We had another doctor collect 14 to somewhere between 14 and 15,000 in 4 hours of turning this on. So I always say your patients do want to pay you. Maybe you have some that don't. Maybe you have some that are trying to get out of it, but I think we're good people for the most part. We have to meet them where they're at and make it easy. Unfortunately, we want instant gratification combined.
I want to quickly go over this if you don't mind. So Swell is part of the Dental Intel. Correct?
Yeah, they can log into their Swell account through Dental Intelligence. It asks me to log in, obviously. So I can log in if they're a Swell customer. Dental Intelligence itself, engagement does have its own native review solution. For 85% of the practices I talk to, good. It's great. It's more than they're doing now. For my practices that have multiple locations and want to see all activity in one area, to send out patient surveys, that net promoter score, next level detail on the reviews, I'm going to recommend that they chat with them. Yep.
So you guys are 2 different companies. You just integrate.
Correct. If it's a multiple location, you are wanting to send even employee review, satisfaction reviews or patient satisfaction reviews, net promoter score, and you're really focused on your reviews, I would probably take it to the next level. But for the most part, again, 85% of practices I talk to just want a way to automate a message.
That's really important because it seems like this service is not just getting patient reviews, but you also can improve your internal systems by getting feedback. Some people may not want to leave a review. They feel uncomfortable. They don't want to say bad things about a practice because they want to go back, but they are willing to tell you, hey, I had a bad experience, and they can improve our systems.
You hit the nail on the head. Yeah, we do also give them that ability. So I'll show that real fast. In our online review request here, we do give them the option to send it 30 minutes after their appointment or 6 and 7 same day as their completed appointment. Hot take here. Swell did a lot of research for us. 6 to 7 local time gets the highest response rate. So 30 minutes after the appointment, they might still be driving. They're back to school, work. I'm always going to tell someone to do this. Then you can say Google, Facebook, Yelp. Those are the big 3 most important. So as Google won't let you gate reviews, I can't say how many stars do you give me and then choose whether to post it or not. That's Google's terms of service. What I can do though is when I present you with the option to leave a review, I can put click here to share negative feedback. And that is what you're talking about. And there are a lot of patients who will do that. They like you, they like the service, but today something went wrong and I want you to know about it. But I do intend to come back. You're in an awkward position as a patient because I don't want to leave Dr. Bob a 1 star because I love Dr. Bob and I love everything they've ever done, but I think he should know that this happened today. I'm a firm believer people want to be, you're going to get people that leave a 1-star review and that's okay. You cannot please everyone. I think that's authenticity. I've been asked multiple times, how can you delete my 1-star reviews? I can't legally, but they add authenticity. If I see a practice with 4,000 5-star reviews, I'm going to call and say, what are you giving away? I know no one bats 1,000. Yeah. So this little line here, I love, and I encourage everyone to turn it on. Let them give you feedback. Who doesn't want feedback? And then it doesn't show up as a review because it's going to get emailed to you privately. And there's a lot of people that will take advantage of that.
I'm trying to personally, but with our colleagues, try to change that mindset and especially with my friends at the American Dental Association, don't look at a critique as a negativity. Look at it as an opportunity to improve and to get better. And I have companies that do that. They actually take care of the problems when they arise. And it's very important. I want to thank you for being here today. Hopefully we can have you guys help a lot of practices thrive, not just survive.
That's the key, Bob. Yes. Thank you so much for having me. I welcome the opportunity to chat with anyone who wants to talk through this again. There's a lot there. It can be overwhelming. We'll strategize and get them to a good spot. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
This episode is brought to you by Digapalooza, the premier CE event every November in Chicago. This exclusive event features world-renowned speakers delivering quality bread and butter topics that is more than CE. It's a connection to a supportive dental community. For early bird pricing and more details, visit dentistryingeneral.com.
This has been a production of Dentistry in General Radio Network. Visit our website, dentistryingeneral.com, to join engaging clinical and business conversations, explore our dental podcasts, and stay updated on our upcoming live events.